when you start learning a language, should you start to speak from day one? I get this question a lot, and the answer is yes, absolutely. You can start speaking from day one if your goal is to talk to people. In fact, you should start speaking from day one. Just not to people. You should start speaking on your own. I'm going to show you how. This is the language islands technique. So you go to a translator and you start writing everything you want to say. So you start with the basics. If you know zero Spanish, you start with hello, hola. What's your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? You're going to butcher the pronunciation, but that doesn't matter now. It's much better to be able to speak with bad pronunciation, with some mistakes, than not be able to speak at all. Yeah. What's your name? My name is Mikael. Me llamo Mikael. Nice to meet you. Encantado de conocerte. This is my friend. Although in Basque, John is not John. Este es mi amigo John. Yeah. Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Soy de. No, sorry. I am from the Basque country. It is a small region in the border between France and Spain. And you can write endlessly, yeah? Es una pequeña región en la frontera entre Francia y España. So you write everything you want to say. First one should be introducing yourself, meeting people, small talk. You could also go for things like, let's get a drink. Vamos a tomar algo. Or, do you want a drink? Yeah, if you plan on learning Spanish to meet people and go out and that kind of stuff. If you plan on learning Spanish to for meetings and for video calls and sales emails and all that, then you write that stuff instead. But this is what you should do if you want to speak from day one. And then you read this stuff aloud over and over again. And you take this, you should save them in a two-column document in Excel and create Anki files with it, Anki flashcards, so that you get this in the first side of the flashcard. Then you try to say it in Spanish, and then you check if you say it correctly or not. And you also paste this in TTS software, like TTS Maker, and you create an audio file with Spanish, relatively native sounding, okay sounding Spanish audio, and then you binge listen to your own sentences, translate it into Spanish. While you do something else, you just play it over and over. And you read them aloud over and over again. And you use the flashcards and you do retrieval practice with them, getting the sentences in English and trying to say them in Spanish and then checking if you said them correctly or not. And this is how you start speaking from day one. You do this with basic information about you, each one of your hobbies. You should write a long paragraph about it, what you do for work, why are you in the country if you're traveling, or stuff about the city that you're visiting, or your own city if you intend on speaking to people in their own language while they're visiting you, etc. And you do this with 20, 30, 50, 100 sentences a day, and you add them to the list. You practice saying them aloud, and you listen to the previous ones from the previous days. And this is how you start speaking from day one. And if you do this regularly, in a few weeks, you'll have a long list, thousands of sentences that you've written, you've rehearsed, you've memorized, you've listened to over and over again, and that you're able to not only recognize all that vocabulary and also the grammar, because you're learning grammar while doing this. You're learning a lot of vocabulary and most of the useful grammar by doing this, by the way. This will help you understand the language better and also to speak much more fluently from the beginning, right? You learn hundreds of sentences very quickly that you are able to use for practical scenarios. And if there's one situation where you weren't prepared for, like you hadn't prepared for it because whatever you didn't think of it, once you're in on like after that, okay, let's say you went to the supermarket and you weren't able to speak Spanish and you had to or you would like to and then you couldn't. Okay, you go home and you prepare sentences for that, and the next day when you go again, you are able to speak in that specific scenario, and you do this with each and every situation that you encounter. You could write down every interaction you have that you weren't able to speak and then prepare for it. And that's it. This is how you become fluent very quickly in any language. And this is how you practice speaking from day one on your own. And also about how you learn grammar and vocabulary in an efficient way.